Continuing my budget Overland gear series, of course, we got to go to Walmart. This is a few of my favorite items from Walmart that I've used for years while out camping and overlanding. Now, nowhere does it say that you have to have expensive, fancy overland stuff to get out. With some simple gear that you may already have or that can be purchased cheaply, you can get out and get started. Now, not all Walmarts are created equal. If you live in an area that's more outdoorsy, you're going to have more outdoors gear. This Walmart is one that's not around an outdoorsy area, so it's kind of the basic stuff that every Walmart should have, so I think it's a good example. So let's go check out some things from Walmart that I use and recommend for the overland or camping community. First off, we're going to start at the clearance section. You can find stuff like this cooking set here. There's always something here that you can use, either discontinued camping gear or just household items that can be used while camping. It's a good place to start and find some cheap stuff. And starting in the camping section, this is not a bad place to start with the simple air mattress and Walmart tent. I've used these Walmart tents for years. Now, the bigger ones in Oklahoma are going to catch more wind and be more of a hassle. So I like smaller ones like this here. I actually use this tent. I like that it's open and mesh at the top so you get good airflow. It's got a full rain fly. But these aren't always the most weatherproof, so go ahead and reseal them, respray them, and you can actually get a pretty good, decent tent out of these. Now, starting fire, there's no reason to do it the hard way, so these fire start cubes are great. I also like these roasting logs. A lot of times when I'm camping, I don't have time for an actual big fire. Something like this is good enough to cook hot dogs on. You don't have to gather wood, and it'll get you through the sunset and stuff until you go inside for the night. But all this stuff is great. Now, they have different cooking things from cast iron here in the camping section. Also, you can look in the home section for cast iron. I like cooking on cast iron. Also, these cook sets, it's a good, cheap, budget way to start out. I actually use these in both of my rigs. It's just cheap plastic gear, but lightweight and gets the job done. Now, for cook stoves, these simple old classic style have been around forever. They get the job done, and they're pretty cheap. I like this one here in my Jeep. It's got one burner and then the grill side. For me, doing solo trips, this works great. For a family though, I like having a little bigger selection. I also use these single burners and various camp gear I have. Now, for heat, these little buddy heaters, they work. I've used them for years. If you know what you're doing, they're okay. These little ones here, they don't stand up as good, so I do recommend getting one of the bigger ones. The little bottles of propane don't last very long, so get the adapter and use a big bottle. But these are a budget option, and I have used them for years, and it makes the trip a lot more comfortable. Now, when it comes to lighting, these cheap headlamps and cheap flashlights are amazing to have as backups. Just don't pull the plastic out of them, throw them in all your camp gear, and you'll never be without a light. I also like these lanterns. I've used these for years. They get the job done, but there's other flashlights and stuff here that's good. These telescoping cook forks, I think, are game changers. I have them in every camp setup I have. They collapse down small. There's nothing funner than cooking a hot dog or a marshmallow over the fire, so they're great. Now, paracord, no trip is complete without some kind of rope. So paracord lives in all my rigs as a backup. These thermocells I've started using in the last few years. I've had great luck with them, and they accompany me on all my trips now. One thing that tents don't come with is very good stakes, and I love these nail style. They're cheap, they work. And I keep several extras in all my rigs just in case. You never know when you'll need them. And for storing food, you don't have to go crazy. I do love my 12-volt fridge. However, a lot of these roto-molded coolers from these different brands, they're not a Yeti or something, but they do have quality coolers. Now, these cheaper ones here, unfortunately, they're just not going to hold the ice very long. But if it's what you have, it works. It'll get the job done. Get out and have fun. Now, as far as cooking utensils, all of my rigs have cheap utensils, either from Walmart or somewhere else. Also, don't forget your can opener. That's a good one. But these budget utensils, they work great. They're lightweight. They get the job done. Like I mentioned earlier, I love using cast iron to cook on. A lot of my stuff is this Lodge from Walmart. Also, they have these griddles here that you can find that'll fit your cook stove. So that's a good option. Now, if you want something a little lighter, don't overlook these super cheap sets. Yes, if you're not careful, you can burn food. However, these are lightweight. You can get all your pots and pans you might need for camping, and they're cheap. Same with these utility knives. These budget knives are great to have in your cook set. I'm also a big fan of these cheap cutting boards. All my cook kitchen boxes have them in them. It's a great way to prep food, and they're lightweight. In the outdoor section, you can find these griddles. They're a great alternative to using the expensive scottles that everyone likes. You can get the bigger version with 2 burners, but these are great camp options. Now, here's some clearance blankets. Don't overlook just simple household blankets and pillows and stuff. This stuff is all going to be more comfortable. You can use it at home as well as camping. And if you need to, just grab the stuff off your bed at home and go. You don't need something fancy. You don't need something crazy. One thing I've added to all my rigs are these leveling blocks. Since I sleep on the rooftop tent and stuff, being able to level my vehicle, these just work amazing. Now, another tip is mount some of these levels on either your rooftop tent or your rack if you camp that way. It just gives you a way to level your vehicle easily. Also, these party light holders, there's usually a couple options available. These fit the end of typical car awnings to allow you to hang lights and stuff, so these are a cool option. Now, I'm a big fan of Rain-X. I typically hit all my windows before a trip. It just keeps the water and stuff from building up and makes the trip more enjoyable. These tire repair kits, if you carry air of some sort, these are great. Extra rubber cement and extra plugs. You can patch some pretty big holes and get you off the trail. As always, zip ties, duct tape, electrical tape, simple stuff, even the fuse kit. Simple things like this can really save your day. Now, in an emergency, they do have auto extinguishers here. Be sure if you're going to get an extinguisher, though, you get the correct type. Probably the most budget thing here is buying a whole rig. I like to collect off-road and overland Hot Wheels or Matchbox cars. I have a pretty good collection. Actually, this one's going to go home with me today. Now, this is a USB powered fan. I actually have several of these. You can find them on sale for $4 or $5. I'm honestly not sure what the normal price is because these are all kind of mixed up. Also, there's some clamp-on versions. But if you can find a 12 volt or USB style, it just makes things easier. As we mentioned, duct tape. It's handy. Just duct tape. That's all you need to know. And they do have FRS and GMRS radios. I like these Midlands, but there's other brands here. Just do your research, but I think these are great to have if you don't have a radio in your rig. This is a cheap way to get started. Now, I'm going to mention clothing because you don't have to have expensive gear to go out. Clothing to me is the same way. I like Walmart clothes. If it gets tore up, no big deal. Hoodies, jackets, most of my camp gears came from Walmart. I'm not ashamed to say it. And actually, I do like the Swiss Tech brand. They have several coats and jackets and hoodies and stuff that I love for camp gear. Now, if you got kids or if you just spend a lot of time at camp, something to do that's fun, even a simple frisbee can really make or break a trip. And of course, a way to start fire. I love these long-handled utility lighters. They're great. They live in all my camp gear, and for $1 or $2, they're hard to beat. Now, for your toiletries and stuff, check the travel section. You don't need a big bottle on most trips, but if you're like me, you like a shower, you like deodorant, you don't want to stink, there's all kinds of budget stuff here. Thanks for checking out another video of mine. Be sure and click subscribe and stay tuned for the next one in this series, as well as other videos coming up. Let me know where you think I should head next. And as always, there's still another mile left to explore. I'll see you on the trail.